Hey, well, good morning, everyone. I'm Rit here from Speaks, and yesterday was a little bit of a late one for me, so I couldn't talk about the football. Yeah, we were away with the poker. That's for another day. What a night that was. But we watched Manchester United, and there was a group of us, and so I wanted to start off just by saying what a dull performance really by Manchester United. We watched them; they had no bite, no grit, no determination. I'd say this didn't look like a team which was well rested and focused. This looked like a team which was well rested and not up to the mark, not up to the game, not at the races. Look, probably so were Everton. I'm not entirely sure. I think for what they are as a team, they did well. Their performance was as expected. Everton are a team who roughly average around 48% possession at home. They haven't otherwise played well. Everton at home, they've not got the results. And yesterday was just a continuation of the same. They ended up with 48% possession. We had 52, obviously. They pumped balls into the box, but we were ready for it. I think this is where somebody like Lammens, and we'll talk about him in much more detail, consummate professional, did his job, did more than his job, but he did his job. He was there, he responded present, he prepared. Now that's someone who you can say was off for almost 2 weeks, but he prepared on the next game. He knew what Everton are all about. He knew the challenges that they would be creating, pausing for us. And he came up with the goods. We owe the victory to Lammens, among some other players. We'll talk about that. The rest, for me, were not up to the mark. And let's start with Carrick, the selection. I was trying to do I was going to do a preview, but again, as I said, it was just one after the other yesterday for me. And just couldn't go live, so apologies for that. But let's talk about the selection. Carrick stumbled on a formation and a lineup since he started. That's worked well for him. However, he doesn't want to change. For me, and I knew he wasn't going to change, but I was going to talk about it. For me, Benjamin Šeško needed to absolutely start. This is not after yesterday. I said that before as well. How is Šeško not getting a game on the back of 6 Premier League goals and most of them coming in the last 4 or 5 games prior to yesterday? I don't know. And yesterday he comes on, luckily, well, I say luckily, but I'll credit Carrick. He makes the substitutions early enough, which he didn't do against West Ham, and we come up with the goods. But that's not good enough. We can't be going into games with false nines and um, just being very predictable. And one of the reasons I believe Carrick is not making that change is because he doesn't know who to drop, who to choose from. It's fairly simple at the moment. He's going to stick with a 4 at the back, no problems. But even that, I'm not going to be a hypocrite for me in the sense I criticized Amorim for sticking to that five at the back. Look, I don't care what formation you use, as long as it appears well, we play well. Now, I do believe the four at the back is within the Manchester United DNA and very, very hard to move away from it, especially at home. Away from home, I think we can adapt to all sorts of formations, all sorts of players, different. Away at home in the Premier League, we're not so arrogant where we say we have to play a certain way. No. Soak up, do the basics, hit on the counter, brilliant. And yesterday was an absolute blueprint of what, if anything, we expect from a Manchester United side playing away. But at home, we can't do that. We have to use the wingers. We have to use the width of the pitch of Old Trafford and attack. Attack. We can't afford to sit back against most teams at home. And for that reason, I think the 4-4-2 works brilliantly. But Carrick, coming back to him, yet again, makes no changes, doesn't bring Mazraoui. We continue seeing Dalot and Shaw. Now, irrespective of their performance, we'll get into that in a minute. Irrespective of their performance yesterday, I don't think we played well enough to continue with the same lineups. Now, where there was a change was Martinez picked up an injury, and for that reason, Lenny Yoro came in. But other than that, it was the same. Casemiro Menu, Bruno Fernandes, that was the midfield. And then we had Diallo, Cunha, and Mbeumo as the false nine. I genuinely think that's an issue for us. The feel-good factor is back. Carrick's brought that. He's talking well. He's speaking confidently. But we also need tactical nows. Now, you can play with a false nine 1 or 2 games. But after that, you become super predictable. And yesterday was absolutely that fact. I don't think we threatened Everton at all. In fact, the only time we started threatening Everton is when they grew in confidence and realized that there was 3 points at stake. They could attack. And we created 2 chances from it. We took the first one. Maguire, brilliant header, out straight to Šeško, who was on the edge of his box, looked around, scanned, and played the ball back. Eventually played the ball back, I can't remember to who. And then it came to Cunha. Now, that ball from Cunha was beautiful, delicious. He whipped in a cross-field ball all the way to Mbeumo. One-on-one Mbeumo was always going to swallow his man. But the key there was that pretty much started with Šeško. Ball for Maguire, header into Šeško. So he was on the edge of his box. Šeško was being marked by Tarkowski at that time. And the speed, the pace that Šeško demonstrated on that counter was blistering. He caught up all the way with Mbeumo in a flash, and Mbeumo just squared the ball on a plate, on a sixpence for Šeško to score, to slot it home, a little bit a la Henry. Now, what was key for me was the confidence of Šeško, how he bust the gut to get into the box. It didn't look like he needed to break sweat. He was fresh, coming off the bench. But what was great about his confidence is he pointed to Mbeumo where he wanted that ball, ahead of him, in front of him. Now, I think he pointed it on his left foot because Šeško's got a brilliant left foot as well. I think the way he looked at it is play onto the left, I'll just slot it, I'll just dispatch it. And it would have been a simple finish. But I think Mbeumo picked the right um, pass because he gave Šeško options to do whatever he wanted. He could have still dragged it onto the left and dispatched it. He could have hit it first time like he did now. He could have taken a touch and then belted it. So I think that was fantastic play really from Cunha first, and Mbeumo to find him, and Šeško with the finish. But also credit to Maguire there, um, with the header. Look, these matches are bread and butter for Maguire. He loves to defend on the edge of the box. He loves it when crosses are coming in, balls are coming in. We're having to actually defend. Tell him to be on the halfway line and push and attack. He's not good at that. And then he gets PTSD when having to run back. So this was Maguire's game all day. So that was the goal. Let's do a quick player ratings. I've not spoken about Lammens, but I'll save him for now. What an absolute performance by Lammens. Now, Sky had Van der Sar in there. I think, just very apt. He's probably the keeper. Van der Sar is probably the keeper that Lammens resembles most, like in a way. I think he's wider, broader than Lammens. De Gea was more of a Van der Sar-like keeper, but for me, De Gea has made such an impact and demonstrated such greatness, in my opinion. As much as I rate Edwin van der Sar, credit him. He goes down as one of the best goalkeepers ever, in my opinion, van der Sar, for what he has done at Juventus, what he has even done at Fulham, Manchester United. It's one of the greats, all-time greats. You know, put him with any keeper. Buffon, right? Buffon is generally regarded as one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, certainly of modern times. Put him with Buffon. I don't think there's much in it at all. So Van der Sar has been fantastic, but for me, De Gea, what he has done in the Premier League has not been repeated. And I don't think anyone will get close to it. De Gea in the time that he was at Manchester United was head and shoulders above every other player at Manchester United and every other goalkeeper in the Premier League. So he goes into his own bucket, into his own category. Lammens did both of them proud today. In his first season, he's been pegged back. And I like his interview because he said some of it was unfair. Some of the pegging back guys was unfair. Some of the pressure was unfair. They were pushing him. He couldn't stand in his box. He was inside the goal. He's 23 years old, first year in the Premier League. I'm not saying that's a reason for the referees to protect him, but the referees should do a better job in general. This is what happened a couple of times when he did get caught out. Bryan Mbeumo got caught out big time. But I credit Lammens here because he did his work. He knew what Everton was about and he's trained himself. He has improved considerably already in his first season. You're not going to get much bigger tests than Everton away for a goalkeeper in terms of crosses. Everton had 10 to 0 corners in the end. I think they ended up with 10 or 11 to 1. right? This was the clear tactic from Everton. Lammens was more than a match. For me, look, I would ordinarily have just slapped a 9 on it. He didn't have any worldies. He didn't make those De Gea-like saves. He didn't make those one-on-one. He made one brilliant one, I think from Keane, but what he did was just remove any danger from the box. For me, an 8.5 and a man of the match contender. I know Sky Sports gave him the man of the match. For me, a man of the match contender. Diego Dalot. Now, I have been critical of Dalot. I think going back to a 4 at the back is the best thing for Dalot. He's not a wing back. He is not that great offensively. But yesterday I saw bits and pieces where I think he can contribute more offensively. It's funny because I think offensively in a 4-4-2 he does a lot better than offensively in a 5 at the back. That's a bit weird. But no, I think overall Dalot had an above average game. Dalot had a decent game. And for that reason I'll give him a 7. I've been critical of him, but he's keeping Mazraoui out of the team. So now Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro, this isn't his match, as in, he's a Rio Ferdinand tap player, Rolls Royce, loves to come out with the ball. He's the complete antithesis to Maguire. Complete different player. But it was a brilliant test for Lenny Yoro. Not the most physical. It's a classy Rolls Royce like player. But yesterday, look, he had to roll up his sleeves, and I think he did that. For me, I'm going to give him a 6.5. He was not in his element, but he dug deep and he got us the clean sheet. 6.5. Maguire, this is his bread and butter. That was his game. Everything that came into the box that was anywhere near him, he got his head to. He started the goal. For me, Maguire did well, and he was the best of the pack. So Maguire gets a 7.5. Luke Shaw didn't do badly, but I think we're starting to see a big need for us to plan ahead of Luke Shaw. For me, this performance from Luke Shaw was that of a player who wants to get the clean sheet, yes, but is not doing everything for the cause, is not doing everything to win. Luke Shaw is trying to stay fit. I think Luke Shaw's battle is with himself. He needs to stay fit. Otherwise, he won't go to the World Cup. And I think that's what we're seeing from Luke Shaw. I'll give Luke Shaw a 6. Casemiro, the number 6. Now, to start off with, I don't think this was a game for the midfielders. I don't think any of our midfielders did particularly well. They were not in the game. And probably this was a tactic from Everton, but we should not have been surprised. Where I'm having problems is I think I saw Bruno or Casemiro. They were in the Middle East. I think Casemiro was back in Brazil. People were out taking holidays. We're not against that. Well, like I can be against that, but we're not against the rest. But guys, just remember that we're not resting because we get given a break. We're resting because we've been utterly shit and hence chucked out of the competitions. Let's just have a little bit of decency. This time last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember exactly, similar period, Casemiro was caught in New York with Rashford. Similar stories, right? So he didn't have a good game. I don't know what's the reason. Maybe we've had 2-week period, didn't have the energy. I just didn't see him in the game. Maybe as a number 6, his job was just to shield. But I think knowing Casemiro and the season that he's having, he's been fantastic. One of our best players easily. But for me, not up to the mark. It's a 5.5. Kobbie Mainoo, not much better. For me, it was an average performance. He was good on the turn, as Kobbie generally is. With the team defending well, I think there was opportunity for Kobbie Mainoo to stretch the game, do well. Now, he did put in a fantastic cross, which should have been converted by Mbeumo. And if that had gone in, would be 2-0 up. But that didn't happen. I think it was otherwise an average Kobbie Mainoo performance. He could and should be doing a lot better. I've got some work coming up, so I'm going to that. Okay. Who's next? Bruno Fernandes. A game to forget for Bruno. Didn't do anything. Didn't have particularly strong deliveries on the set piece today. Yeah, we just didn't threaten as much as I thought we should. But at the same time, I don't think Bruno had Šeško and the movers to really guide him. So an average performance. I can't give him more than Casemiro. For me, Bruno is also a 5.5 man. Diallo. Amad Diallo. I'm going to be critical of him because he's playing in the side. He's done well. We all like him. We all want him to do well, but he's getting in the way. Him and Mbeumo, Carrick's got to make a decision for me. And for me, Diallo has to drop. Him and Mbeumo, they're playing similar positions. They're not exactly similar players. Diallo's a lot more slender, defends a lot more, but Mbeumo attacks better and has a better end product. So for me, I'd keep Diallo and bring him off the bench for either Cunha or Mbeumo. Diallo gets a 5. Cunha was not having the best game, but what Cunha does, which I don't think even Diallo does, is Cunha is a player's player, He'll put himself about. He'll come and defend. And what a ball from the transition. Just that ball. He makes that goal. It was open, but for him to find that ball and not try and run, pass, blah, 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 because we'll get stifled. For me, Cunha has to take quite a bit of credit. And out of the 3, where he could have been the one who would be sacrificed, since he's come on, Dorgu was preferred in his position. For me, Cunha stays while Dorgu's out. Let's see what happens when Dorgu comes back. Maybe he plays instead of Shaw. I don't know, but I really like Dorgu. But Cunha has done well, and he gets a 7 just purely for this pass. And Mbeumo, not his day. Could have scored, but he makes a brilliant assist. I'll give him a 7 too. Who came on? Benjamin Šeško. That's the first substitution, just for winning us the match, an 8. Because what a move! This was not a fluke. It wasn't just a tap in. It wasn't a lucky goal. The ball didn't find him. He found the ball. He made it happen. Manchester United win yesterday because of 2 big reasons: Lammens in goal and Šeško being brought on and scores. So Šeško gets an 8 straight away. He could have scored the second. And if he did, he would have got a 9, 9.5. He gets an 8. One of the contenders for man of the match. Mazraoui came on, and Mazraoui